So today we're going to talk about, we've been talking about decimals and place values. Now we're going to compare them. We're going to see which one's larger, which one's smaller, where do they fit. And we're going to do that in different ways. So here's the problem. You do not have this problem. That's okay. You're going to listen and pull the information out and write it in your notebook. So Monty is building a model airplane with his grandfather. The instructions tell them they need wheels with a diameter between 1 and 45 hundredths and 1 and 475 hundredths. So they said between. So I need to go between these two numbers. So the question says, will a wheel with a diameter of 1 and 463 thousandths work? So here's my target. Will this work? That's what I have to figure out. So let me copy down on my notebook. I have 1 and 45 hundredths, and I have 1 and 475 hundredths. My question is, 1 and 463 hundredths, does that fit in the middle? Does it fit in the middle? So let's talk about different ways that we can do it. Our first way, we're gonna look at what it looks like on using place value blocks. I'm trying to make it so you can see everything here. So I'm gonna take my first number and I'm gonna draw it in these boxes. 1. So I need to shade in 1 flat, 1 flat. Next, I have 4. These are tenths. I'm actually going to get something darker than a pencil because I'm worried that you won't see that in the video. So now I'm going to shade in 4 tenths. So 4 tenths looks like, a tenth looks like a rod. So that would be 1 rod, 1 tenth, 10th rod dime. 2 tenths. 3 tenths. 4 tenths. I've done my 1 whole. I've done my 4 tenths. Now I have left to do is the 5 hundredths. What do hundredths look like? They look like these squares. Units. This is worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I showed 1 whole, 4 tenths, and 5 hundredths. Okay, so now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to draw the really big one. So I'm going to do 1 whole, 1 whole. That was 1 whole. Now I'm going to do 4. These are tenths. Tenths. So I'm going to shade in. I already kind of done this. This was the same as before, so they can't be that far apart in place value. 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths. Now I have to do 7 hundredths. These are hundredths. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's shade those in. 7 hundredths. The next place is thousandths. Remember, I have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very little ones. So let's look at how far apart these really are in place value. They both have holes. They both have 4 tenths. This only has 5 hundredths, but this has 7. and this little extra 500ths didn't add much on. So the difference between this one and this one is only 2.5 pennies, 2.5 cents, 2.5 hundredths, 2.5 units. Not very much. So let's see if this fits in the middle. 1, 1. Oh, I still have the same 4/10. That's the same. 1, 2, 3/10, 4/10. Okay, now I'm on hundredths. This one I colored in 500ths. This one I colored in 7. This one's asking me to color in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. 5, 6, 7. So far it looks like 6 is in between those other two. 600ths. Now I have to do my last one, which is thousandths. So I need to put in 1, 2, 3. So those little 3 really didn't make a difference. So is this number between these? Yes, it is between. Let's look at another model to prove that, and then we'll do some writing about it. I'm going to slide my paper up, and I'm going to make a place value chart. Okay, I'm not sure if that's enough lines, but I'll fix it. So this one, these numbers only go to the wholes. So I'm going to call my first place value ones. Remember, this is the left, and I'm putting ones to the left. My larger ones go over here. When I read numbers, I read them from left to right, and my big ones go on the left. After the ones place goes a decimal. Okay, what goes next? Tenths with the TH. What comes next is hundredths. Hundredths. What comes next is thousandths. I ran out of space there, didn't I? I wish I had written those down a little lower. Ones, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Just like yesterday, the other day we did, which one is the largest? 1 is the largest place value. Which one's the smallest? Thousandths is the smallest. So I'm going to take my numbers and I'm going to put them into the chart. 1 and 45 hundredths. The 5 is next to the hundredth, so that's where I have to land. So now this one, I'm going to see if it's in between. So I'm going to do my largest one, and I'm going to write it. I'm going to skip a space for my one in between. 1 and 475 thousandths. 1 and 475 thousandths. So let's see if they're in between. So tie, tie. This is where we start to separate. These are all equal to each other. So let's see the next one. 1 and 400, still a tie. 63 hundredths. 5, 6, 7. Yes, the 6 is in between. I almost don't even care about these because remember, these little thousandths didn't add very much value onto my number. Now, we've talked about this in one of the classes. It is important in the Olympics. In the Olympics, people won by this much. So it is important sometimes. But if I'm talking about the value and comparing, when I get down to these little bitty spots, I'm going to focus on the numbers before. If everything is tied, then it matters. So for these were a tie, this is what matters. Yes, the 6 is between. So let's write about this. 1 and 463 thousandths is in between 1 and 463 thousandths is in between 1 and 45 hundredths and 1 and 475 thousandths. The 1 in the ones place and the, let me stop, the 1 in the ones place and the 4 in the tenths place, the 1 in the ones place and the 4 in the tenths place is tied with all three numbers. Let me recap. The 1 in the ones place, the 4 in the tenths place is tied with all three numbers. So in the hundredths place, the 6 is between the 5 and the 7. So in the hundredths place, the 6 is between the 5 and the 7. So in my explanation, I used place value words. That's showing the person who is reading this that I understood place value and where digits were and where they fell. I'm going to practice more of this tomorrow.